nurses use military time. If you're unfamiliar with military time and you are in nursing school, get familiar with it. It's really not that hard. It's really not. Simply add 12 to the number if it's PM. So if it's say 1 PM, it's 1300. So you just add 12 to 1 and then just call it 100. Or you can do like I do and say 1307. I do that. Or, 1353, something like that. You can't, some people say 1300 hours and 53 minutes, whatever. But I say 1353 or 153. Right now it doesn't work. I just got off work. It's in the AM, so it's, I can't really say it right now. Anyways, excuse me. Back to the nurses use military time theme that we're going with today. This is because nursing is very most likely typically a 24-hour shift. Now there are places, doctor's offices, urgent cares, things like this that aren't necessarily 24 hours. Locally, we don't have 24-hour doctors or 24-hour urgent cares, but I'm pretty sure they do exist. We just don't have any around here. In any case, this is due to the fact that nursing is a 24-hour job. Not saying you're going to work 24 hours, but it's a 24-hour job. So, if you get an order, telephone verbal order, TVO, and it is to start at 8 p.m., that's 2,000 or 2,000 hours, whatever you want to call it. Once again, I say 2053. That's what time it is. Sometimes it confuses people, sometimes it don't. Sometimes they understand what I'm saying. If I do confuse them too bad, I'll say at 2,053 minutes. Whatever will, make it better. Anyways, nursing is 24 hours. We have to stay on a 24-hour schedule. You can't just write an order, especially a TVO. If you get a telephone verbal order, if you get a verbal order of any case, a verbal order is one that you are told by the physician to start a medication at this time, or stop a medication at this time, or start a treatment at this time, something like that, without the physician being present. Locally, I'm going to go with local laws here. We can take a TVO, a telephone verbal order, or a verbal order, but it has to be completely filled out and signed within 24 hours. Now, that could just be policy, that could be state. Your state may be different. Your state may say it has to be 6 hours. Your state may say 48 hours. Various different things. In any case, this is important when you take the order down. Because if I take an order and I say I'm taking the order at 9:30, but I don't have a 0 in front of the 9, which is how you write 9:30 in military time. Is that 9:30 p.m. or is that 9:30 a.m.? Now, if I write 21:30, you know exactly that's 9:30 p.m. That is the time that Chris started this treatment medication or DC'd something, was 21:30. You know that happened at 9:30 at night. So, or if I write 09:30, then you know I started, stopped, DC'd, whatever, something at 09:30, at 9:30 in the morning. So, this is very important for medications also. Say something like vancomycin. I like going back to vancomycin. It's one that I'm familiar with, and it's one that I know you have to have labs. You have to have good communication with vancomycin. Vancomycin has to have labs drawn peak and trough. If you don't understand peak and trough, we can do a video on that. But let's go back to the vancomycin, sticking with the military time. If I get a TVO at 21:30, 9:30 p.m. to start vancomycin at 2,200 hours, 2,200 hours, 10 p.m., then I need to go ahead and start it at 2,200 hours, 2,200 hours. And I start it then, and let's say that it's Q6. Let's say it's not Q6. Let's say I need to run it for 6 hours. So it says, you know, I'm going to do my math and I'm going to figure out my drip rate if you have to do your drip rate, or I'm going to figure out on the pump how many milligrams, milliliters, millis, whatever I need to run on the pump. Typically these pumps do it for you. I don't know why. We used to actually have to do math. When I very first started, you had to do a lot of math and then kind of plug it in. We can do that in another video if we need to. Anyways, back to the point. Let's say I have to run this vancomycin for 6 hours. 6 hours is a typical rate because 6 hours after the vanc, you draw a lab. 6 hours before the next one, which is about halfway, you draw a lab, peak and trough, peak and trough. So, in any case, let's say that this is a Q12 medication. So at 2200 hours, I give it. I draw a lab at 2200. I draw another lab 6 hours later. Ooh, this is 0400 hours, 4 a.m. You get another lab, according to the order that I just made up in my head. You know, please don't take this as a normal order. I made it up in my head. So at 0400, I draw another lab. I need it to say 0400, not 4.00. Is that 4 p.m.? Is that 4 a.m.? You gotta have that 0 in front. These things can get you in trouble with documentation. So I draw my 4 a.m. labs, my 0400 labs. Then, what did we say? It was a Q12 medication? Maybe I didn't say that. Anyways, I got to give it at 10 a.m. now. So 1000. I give it at 1000 or 1000, whatever you want to call it. I give it at 1000. I don't put any dots in my 10 because I want it to say 1000 or 1000, whatever you want to call it. I do it. I draw a lab at 1000. 6 hours later is now 1600 or 4 p.m. But we're not calling it 4 p.m. Remember, we're sticking to military time. This actually, as confusing as I have already made this actually keeps down on the confusion because you know exactly what time things were given, ordered, drawn, whatever the case may be, simply by using military time. Once you learn military time, it's fairly easy to follow. It really is. It's not that hard once you learn it. Learning it probably takes the hardest, but simply add 12 to the number of hours past PM that you have. So 12 noon is actually 12, but midnight is 0000 hours. That's midnight. All right. I hope it helps. I hope I didn't confuse the fool out of you. But in any case, that's why we use military time. Thank you much.